Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a HAWKS cast. My name is Seth McCann, and I am joined by Alison Butler to speak.
Hi.
Hey. And Maddox Wise.
Hey.
And today we are going to be talking about the Hunger Games movie, the new one, and also kind of going into like the Hunger Games world in itself. Mm-hmm. So, Maddox, did you recently watch the movie?
I watched it like a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, me and Alison went together in the...
Like, it had to be like within the first week or two it came out.
It was the first week because I get free tickets if you didn't know. So.
Oh, really? You get free tickets to like whatever you want?
Yeah, well, to the movie because I work at the movie theater, so I get free tickets.
Wonderful perk.
It goes for me and one other person.
I know a lot of places they'll be like, you can get like, one movie ticket. You know what I mean? Because you work here.
Yeah.
You just get whatever you want.
I mean, yeah, for like. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I would say
that's
for whatever movie.
Sick. Yeah, no, I watched it a little bit ago. I watched that, and then I think like the same weekend, the day after, I watched the Napoleon movie.
Oh, that's still playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty good. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it more than the Mockingjay movies, which might be an unpopular opinion for some people, but
it was better.
I liked it more than the Mockingjay.
I kind of like some parts of the Mockingjay movies, but in general, I think they're kind of boring.
Honestly,
boring, but
I get it. The Capitol, I get it. You want to watch people fight. Mm-hmm. I get it. It's not boring. It's fun to watch, and that's like the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, that's why the first two movies
Capitol
are
so
fun.
You live in the Capitol.
Yeah, I would live in the Capitol.
I liked it more than I thought I was going to, because whenever I saw the trailers for it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a cash grab. You know what I mean? Like they're just trying to. Oh, you remember the Hunger Games? We're gonna make another Hunger Games movie, so everybody who watched the Hunger Games has to watch it.
This is a prequel. Woo.
Yeah. Woo! Oh, you remember that bad guy, Mr. Snow? He's here. He's hot now.
He's young and hot.
Yeah, I'm not wrong.
Yeah, but I kind of figured it wouldn't be as big of a success because of the actress who played in it, because she was having a scandal with the Snow White movies at the time.
Oh, really?
So yeah, because she was supposed to be in Snow White, but then she was like hating on it outside of her like during her interviews and stuff. Mm-hmm. So everyone was like, oh, I'm not gonna watch the Hunger Games movie because of it. And then she ended up doing a really good job.
Yeah, she did.
It was like really good, and I was really happy with it.
Yeah, no, I think it was a good performance. I didn't hear about any of that. I kind of live under a rock whenever it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know. We know. You don't know a lot of stuff.
But yeah, with an unbiased view here, who did know about that, I think it was a very good performance.
Yeah. Wait, I was just going to say something, and then it completely left my head. Someone else do it, because I was like, I had something, and then it completely went away.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I can't think of like any specific part of the movie where I was like, "Oh, that's great." Just like the whole time.
No, I think I really liked it. I think it was a good mix of battle and aftermath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I like that it showed the other side too.
Yeah, because like unlike the first few movies, like it spends so long getting into the actual games. Mm-hmm. It's like they have a really, really long build up, and it just gets boring.
Yeah,
But with this one, I feel like they got to the Hunger Games quicker, and since it was more a compact space, there was a lot more violence and and a lot more action happening.
And especially because it's like one of the first games, so like things aren't as refined yet.
Yeah, I like that you can tell that they were still developing the games.
Yeah, like the water
drones. And they were figuring out everything. Just sending water. That was really funny.
What is it? During the movie, whenever they have the transition from winning the games or whatever to the aftermath, I started to realize, I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get like the full story here.
Yeah, right after the games ended, I thought we were about done. I was like, oh, we're about done, and Alison's like, we still have half the movie.
It was like
because I had to
part
go.
2, it was like part 2, and then it's part 3, and I'm like, dang.
Yeah, it was a lot.
The whole movie.
One thing that a lot of people were like, they finally got happy with it, but for a bit they were like, why are they singing so much as if there isn't the word ballad in the movie title.
and song.
Yeah, like the songbirds and snakes. There's gonna be music.
And there was singing in, it was like the last Hunger Games movie, with the hanging tree. I feel like that should have been expected to come back.
And
that was hinted at.
Because she was also the creator of that song.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they expected. But yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. I thought they did a really good job incorporating like everything that happened.
Yeah.
And honestly, like Lucy did not play those games. Snow did. He
Yeah.
he literally did everything he could to cheat and get her out.
Yeah.
Because he was just so in love with her, and then she leaves for 2 seconds, and he has like a
He's
mental
psycho.
breakdown and
He
starts
was-
going
Yeah, Lucy Gray.
sick, like sicko mode.
He
you
was
know?
he was kind of goated.
Yeah.
He was a genius throughout the movie. I loved what is it? His little kind of his own little arc throughout the movie of recognizing the significance of violence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
he goes down a dark path with it, but it is an important thing to understand, like the power of violence even in a civilized society.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like he realizes it, but he does absolutely nothing to change it within
Uh-huh.
himself.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, okay,
He's
yeah,
like,
I'm gonna
"This-
go do that.
This is
Yeah.
something I am capable of now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like in between, like in the movie, he's kind of going back and forth between good and bad.
Mhm.
So like once you hit the end of the movie, we obviously know which route he went,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is honestly the route that I would go. But I think it was a good development throughout the story to see like, oh, maybe, I mean, if you didn't watch the old Hunger Games movies,
Yeah,
you'd be
he
like,
had
which way is
potential.
Mhm.
had like a good time to like
Yeah.
think about which way he would go.
It's kind of like a this is a nerd reference, but we are talking about Hunger Games movies, so don't feel that bad. It's kind of like Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars
Nerd.
prequels, where what is it? Like, you know, you obviously know like Anakin Skywalker, he becomes the bad guy, but whenever you're watching the prequels, you're like, how's this guy gonna, you know, like turn out that like what's gonna happen
But
to
then
him
as
that
like the
turns him
story
like that? And then
goes
throughout the
on,
story
you like
goes
see
on,
everything that happened. And,
you
like,
start recognizing like
Yeah.
what created the villain. And I think one of my favorite points in the movie for his character is when he has to kill the other the one contestant when he actually
Yeah.
walks into the arena.
Mhm.
yeah,
That was awesome to me. Like,
yeah, that
that's
was
just,
kind of like
such
the
a-
turning point of him
Yeah, stark
realizing what the
contrast.
games are.
Mhm.
But it was also like it leveled him out with the the players of the game. Like
Yeah.
it brought them to the same level.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's
One
something
thing
about it.
that I found really interesting in the movie, like how they played it off, is like how many Capitol members died as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one girl who got hit, like stabbed in the neck with the bottle. That's what I meant to
The
say.
bat.
With the bottle, and then
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
other characters, like it felt really interesting because like in the later movies, it's like no Capitol member dies like whatsoever.
Yeah, no,
Unless
they're
they do
untouchable
wrong. Yeah.
practically.
And then like in that one, they're just people too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing where it's like this is still a developing nation, and I think
Yeah.
that it's really hard to kind of like do like sci-fi or like any kind of like fake country and do it justice like that, and I'm really happy to see that where you can see the progression from the prequel, you know?
Yeah. One thing I found really funny about the movie was Caesar Flickerman, or no, Lucky Flickerman.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was who it was.
'cause it's a
Caesar's
different
in
guy.
the-
Mhm.
Yeah, Lucky Flickerman, who was like he was the funniest toast I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Calling it
Caesar.
tuberculosis on legs.
Caesar was my favorite character, probably, or one of my favorite characters in the original movies.
Yeah, me too.
So seeing like a copy of him sort of in there, it was really fun for
Yeah,
me.
it was. Oh my god, it was so funny. Like the poor Wovie, sad that sad to see her
yeah,
go.
yeah.
But the thing that he said, where it was like, "Not candy, down goes Wovie," was the funniest part of the entire movie.
One thing I want to talk about, and this kind of goes back to the whole like significance of violence thing. It's something that I think they did really well in the original movies, but they kind of missed in the prequel, is the depiction of the actual Hunger Games. Because on one hand, you know, obviously they're saying like this is a terrible, violent thing that should never happen to any human being. On the other hand, whenever you're actually in the Hunger Games, in the prequel, it feels a whole lot more like an action movie. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? One thing I noticed, and I'm not a person who's like, I want to see more violence in movies because I like violence in movies.
Yeah.
I like it whenever it has its
A meaning
purpose.
too.
It has
Yeah.
a significance in the movie. But there was zero blood in the entirety of the Hunger Games.
Was there?
There was never a drop of blood. I watched it. I was like, wow, this is like impressively like censored. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But you can't censor something whenever you're talking about
Are you
how
talking about like
terrible it is.
I think there was blood before the games. Though.
Before, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
so
in the
you mean like in the
actual
actual games?
Like
yeah.
like in the actual games, in the thing that like in general you would say is like, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
this is a bad thing. They weren't showing it enough as a bad thing, and a lot of people like they didn't even, die violently. They just got covered in snakes. You know what I mean? Which, I mean, if you have a fear of snakes, obviously you're going to be like, oh, that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But, like,
Slightly.
if you look at the original movies versus, like, the new ones, the original ones, they're so, like...
They are very violent.
grotesque.
Yeah.
Like, the one that I always think of, because it gave me nightmares as a kid, because I watched these movies as a kid, is the fog from the second movie.
Oh, yeah.
The one that
So
always
uncomfortable.
kind of like made me think was the Tracker Jackers.
Yeah, that's the other one that I was
And
gonna bring
the
up.
first movie with
Mhm.
Glimmer and how like deformed she looked after getting
Even-
like murdered.
Oh, it
by
always got the mutts. Always got me.
Even the mutts, like,
because like they're modeled after the former
contestants,
people that
which
died.
they didn't do in the movie, which was a little
which was
upsetting.
yeah.
But
I think it would have looked too weird. You know what I mean?
yeah, it would have looked very CGI, but I think it's important because
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
They already
that's
did
when
look
that's
CGI anyways.
yeah, but that's when Katniss was like saw
Realizing.
Rue and
Mhm.
was realizing
Yeah.
what the games
Yeah.
were bringing.
It was an
um,
important part that it would have added a lot
Yeah.
more layers to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but in those movies, like, the Hunger Games is haunting. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's something that, like,
Because you think maybe what if this actually happened?
You-
like what would
you feel the dread of the people who get called for the Hunger Games when we watch the first movies.
yeah.
And I just don't feel the same way about the prequel.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one thing I think
But
that
I
was
think that's
really
just like a small thing that they got wrong.
the one thing that I think that was really important in the prequel that like is when he ripped the flag off the wall.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That was
and
really
to play it,
sad.
that was like the biggest
I love that.
like hatred towards the
Yeah,
Capitol
that was
they
just
showed.
like a big fu.
Yeah, that was like important. It was showed like how people should see what the Capitol is bringing to like the capitals and what they're doing to the people.
Yeah, no, that was I forget what his name was. It was like Reaper or
Reaper.
something.
Yeah, I thought it was
he was one
Yeah.
of my favorite characters
Yeah.
in the whole thing.
yeah,
'Cause he,
him and Il Dil.
Il Dil.
Yeah, that's what they called it.
Il
I thought it
Dil
so
was
good.
not winning.
No, I'm surprised she lasted as long as she
Yeah.
did.
I thought
because
she would have like gone before
just
the
because like
Yeah.
game
people would
started.
hear her coughing.
Mhm.
Like I feel like I was really surprised, but her death was important.
Yeah,
because it led to
triggered.
it like triggered the whole aftermath of him ripping down the Capitol like flag and the reaction of the Capitol and the people watching.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One thing that I mean, the movie's already really long, so I understand why they didn't do it.
I would have stayed for a lot longer than that.
Oh yeah, no, I
I would have
love
stayed for snow.
I love
Yeah.
long movies.
Mhm.
Some of my favorite movies are like 3.5 hours.
I just need a break somewhere in the middle for me to go to the bathroom without
and
missing.
intermission.
Yeah, we had to like leave during it because we both had to use the bathroom so bad.
No, it was like the first like part when they're at the hanging tree. He ran out. As soon as he came back, I ran out.
Had to rotate so that one of you guys could like inform the other.
Yeah.
I've seen that before. I don't think I've ever left mid movie to go to the bathroom before.
It's the only time.
I drink a lot of sweet tea,
Oh,
so
yeah.
you know I need to.
Yeah, no. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the movie was already really long. But one thing I would have liked to see, like at least like explained in just a line of dialogue or something, is how did the rebels or whatever, how did they get into the arena to set
Yeah.
up the bombs that ended up
Yeah,
detonating
because
the
like
thing?
they just exploded.
and then they were like,
But also,
oh, the
I
rebels
think
did it.
I think it wasn't as there wasn't as much security
Yeah.
in it, so I feel like it's actually relatively easy to get in.
I just would have liked like
A little explanation.
a
about it.
line, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like one thing I would have loved to see is like, you know how there's a gate that keeps the people out or people
Yeah.
in or whatever. I would have loved if like that wasn't there whenever the bombs went off, and then they put it in afterwards. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It would have been a cool addition in my
I think
mind.
we should have also seen, because like Snow had a lot of friends in the Capitol, and then
Mhm.
they just kind of be like, oh yeah, the mayor's son died or the president's son died.
Yeah.
We should have like seen who it affected,
Mhm.
like physically, so we can see like how that might affect his
Yeah.
relationships and how that affects his mood throughout the games.
But I feel like Snow's character also like it was kind of built so that he was distanced from everyone. That he had
Yeah.
like the facade of being like a
Really connected. and-
connected, rich. He was of a well social standing, but in reality he lives in this apartment that they can barely pay for. They're
and
rationing
his,
food.
his
Yeah.
cousin
Is
does like
a
the
maid?
Well, she does she's a designer.
Uh-huh.
She's like
Mhm.
she's what's her name?
Tigress.
Tigress, yeah.
Yeah, so she made his shirt like for him to make him look richer.
Yeah.
But then like people like the one guy, I forget the game maker, not the game maker, the one who created the games, who stole the idea from
the guy from Game
the-
of Thrones. I can't think of his
yeah,
name.
but he was like, I can see through that. Like
Yeah.
you're
And
not.
Tigress is in the original movies,
Yeah.
right?
She's in the last movie.
She's like a
Yeah,
side
yeah.
character,
Because
but
she's
yeah.
like she has like the tiger like print all
Yeah,
over her
she's,
body.
like, weird looking.
Because
Yeah.
she's like Snow didn't think I was beautiful anymore or whatever.
I do like her for her like development through the movies as it affects Snow, because at the beginning she was like, you know, super warm, and she called him
Choreo?
Yeah, Choreo, and then at the end of the movie,
Coriolanus.
yeah, he asked her how he looks,
and like the connection between the father, because she's
Yeah.
like, all I saw in your father's eye was hatred and power and like greed.
Yeah.
And then she tells him that
You're just like your father.
and it like pans up to the stained window for his father.
Yeah.
The other character that I like that kind of ties into that aspect of his character too is the dwarf. I forget his name.
The guy from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's the one from that made the
Yeah. I just loved him as a character whenever he was at the end and he was like, I'm trying to shut this thing down. Like I don't want this to happen anymore.
Like, this wasn't supposed to happen.
And then
in the first
Snow's
place.
the one that ends up actually like keeping it running, you know?
Yeah. One thing that I think was like one of the most heart wrenching parts of the movie was when
this
podcast
about the movie.
Yeah, but it was when what was his name?
Sejanus
was getting hung at the hanging tree,
Mhm.
and the Jabberjays were like repeating him screaming for his ma. Oh my god, that was like intense.
Yeah.
Chilling.
Because he was like, it was just like you hear him, and obviously his mom's not hearing it, so. It was just like an interesting part they put in that can actually make someone feel like really bad for the character.
No, and like after we watched this, obviously, TikTok was covered in it. I kept getting videos of like the parallels between the characters in, the prequel and the characters from the original movies. And it's just like Sejanus and Peeta, I think it was Peeta, just them.
I think it was
it Peeta or
Katniss.
Katniss,
And then Lucy was Peeta.
Yeah, because they both wanted to change it, and they kind of just got like dragged into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like they didn't choose it.
The one thing that made me mad about the whole Hunger Games thing, which I know it's like important in the book, is how Katniss literally volunteered for Prim just for her to end up dying anyways.
Yeah.
Hashtag hate Gale hate club. Dropping the bombs on all of them.
Also, in the movies, Peeta has multiple brothers that were standing with him, and he has to watch as Katniss volunteers to save her sister, and his brothers just stand there looking at him.
Yeah.
Like,
but he wasn't very close with any of his family.
No.
But like watching that and like having that gut-wrenching feeling that like no one cares about you.
Yeah, like that has to be so hard.
And like
and
that relates to when he talked about how his mother said they might finally have a winner in District 12, but
It
he
wasn't
was talking
not
about
talking.
she's talking about Katniss.
I think that they do it justice in the original movies, but I love it so much in the book, Peeta's original character.
Yeah.
The way that like he is doing so much stuff because he understands that it's more than just a physical challenge. It is a game and it is a story, and they need a good winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I
love
wish
how he like kind of games that to his advantage.
He plays the game.
One thing I wish that they did in the movie, like that was in the book, was how Peeta finds out that the love that Katniss felt wasn't real.
Yeah.
So like because they kind of just skipped over it in the first movie, because it goes from like the end of the games to her talking to Haymitch about how like she's going to be the head of the rebellion.
Yeah.
And in the actual book, they have like they're on the train coming back and they're talking about it, and he's hurt by it, which is important because it leads to like the difference of relationship later on.
Yeah, and it develops like, obviously they're physically split in the Mockingjay book at some points. But like it starts the emotional split that happens there, and it's more like exemplified there.
Yeah.
And
then you kind of like wonder like, will they come back from it? Will they end up together? Which
I love Peeta's character so much in the first two books, and then in Mockingjay they were just like, what if you made him bad and evil?
What if we manipulated him into doing bad things?
Yeah. Oh, another thing back to the actual prequel is that I didn't really like all that much is they kind of jingled the keys a little bit for the audience too many times, where they're like, oh, you guys remember Mockingjays? They're back.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys.
Remember
we have
Katniss?
this. Yeah, we have this little plant here. Some people call it Katniss.
Yeah, I don't know. But, okay. In the movie, I just want to talk about it. Lucy's singing voice.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. What do you think was your favorite song?
My first thought whenever like, she started singing was like, is this like edited. Like I wonder how much
Yeah.
they like covered this afterwards, you know.
Yeah, no one expected her to be that good, and then she started like singing. She was belting it out, and I was like, "Holy
Go for
crap!"
it.
I really liked her first song, like the
Yeah,
very first one.
The You Can't Take My
Uh-huh.
Charm thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah.
my favorite one.
I think my favorite was just it wasn't like an impactful song. It was just when she was in the tavern.
Yeah.
When
Oh,
they
yeah,
came
yeah.
back, and it just felt very lively,
It's
and it
very
led
fun.
to also like right after that was what led to a bunch of other different stuff
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
it's
second
chain
half
of
of the
events.
movie.
Yeah, that I don't know if it was the same song, but like whenever Snow is going to the back room and Lucy's singing that song about him and he's walking away, I feel like that was
Yeah,
just
that
very
I think that was
significant.
the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like we said, that led to like literally the whole second half of the movie because
Yeah.
it was, he. Spoilers. he shot
can't avoid them.
he shot the mayor's daughter.
Yeah.
And he killed someone else, and he tried to hide the gun, and it leads to
And
so much.
bodies.
Yeah, and it just was like, I don't know, it just led to a lot, and I think that was really important. So okay, if you had to rank the movies, where would you put them?
Oh, all of them?
All of them,
Okay.
and Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2.
We're counting them as a block.
Separate. Yeah.
Oh, separate? Okay.
Count
okay.
them separate.
What if I don't remember where the lines are drawn in between the movies?
Yeah. Okay.
They're all
okay.
kind of just a jumble.
Okay, so there's the Hunger Games,
Yeah.
then the Mockingjay, or not Mockingjay's Catching Fire.
Yeah.
So they're okay.
Yeah, no, like I know the names, but like where
Like-
one stops and the next
Okay,
begins.
Okay, so the Hunger Games is the 74th game.
Hunger Games
Yeah.
is the easiest one to differentiate. The
Yeah, I
second
got that one.
The second one ends right after the Hunger Games ends, and she gets like picked up, and they're like,
You're gonna be the head of the.
"You're gonna be a rebellion now."
Yeah, and then the Mockingjay one's a little harder, but it's right when I think the third one's right when they get PETA.
Whenever they get PETA back,
And he like
Oh,
chokes
yeah.
her, and
Yeah.
she realizes he's different and changed.
I'll always remember the ending scene of Mockingjay Part 1 because I was like, "Dang it, they made PETA evil."
Yeah. So Maddox, how would you rank them? I think.
I would rank them first one at the top, second one just below the first, prequel, Mockingjay Part 2, Mockingjay Part 1.
I think I have to
I don't-
agree with that.
I don't
think
like-
I will agree with that.
I don't like Part 1 because PETA's not in it.
I don't like Part 1 just because it was kind of boring.
It was
like,
kind of it was boring.
It's like
it was
forgettable. Like I don't
Yeah.
even remember what
it
happened.
was
in
boring.
really.
It was jarring because just like so much like changed. I'm not 100% confident on what is it where prequel versus Mockingjay Part 2, like those might flip because I haven't seen Mockingjay Part 2 in a long time. But I love the ending half of Mockingjay Part 2 where they like, they take over the Capitol and whatever, and they're trying to like reinstate new government. And
yeah,
they realize
and then
that,
they decide like
but they might
capital
just
games.
they might just
Yeah.
end up like keeping the cycle of violence, and I like
Yeah.
fighting against that, and it's interesting. And I like the ending where they go back to District 12. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have to agree with that because I
Mhm.
think I really like the prequel. Oh my god, my
Yeah.
voice is like
The prequel.
the prequel. the prequel. I really like it a lot more. But I think honestly, like everyone's favorite is Catching Fire, but I might have to put that second.
I keep
Or
it second.
like I put Hunger Games 1st,
Mhm.
and it's really close between the prequel and the Catching Fire for me at least
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I just didn't find anything really interesting about Catching Fire.
I
Except like I liked that it was like the quarter quell where they like they got all the returning victors,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but then they
That
killed
angst
Mags,
was
so
very
that made
good.
me really mad.
Yeah, no, I think all the returning victors is really interesting because you get to see now you have all the people who already know how the game works. You
Yeah.
know, it's like
They've
Hunger
all won.
Games
They've
on
all-
crack.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked how they all like tried to stop it before, so they were all trying as hard as they can to get the games to quit.
Yeah.
And then Peter threw the baby bomb.
But
and-
I just couldn't put it over the original. The original is
Yeah.
just so good.
Someone I couldn't even imagine being in the quarter quell was Kashmir and her brother. Imagine going into the games with your brother
Yeah.
and having to kill one of them. Like one of you is going to make it out, but the other one isn't.
Mhm.
Okay, so Alison, what would you rank it? Because we didn't get your opinion yet.
I'd say Catching Fire, and then the prequel, and then the original, and then the Mockingjay.
You weren't a Hunger Games fan like the original?
I liked it, but I like Catching Fire more. And
That's fair.
Prequel, Snow is Hot. Sorry.
I understand. I feel like I just give
That's
like
valid.
some kind of maybe unnecessary respect to the original just because it's the original. Oh, but speaking of originality, I just want to mention this before we end. The entire idea of the Hunger Games was stolen.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
You guys know about this?
Uh-huh.
I did hear a little bit about it. I
it's
didn't really like look into
An
it
old
fully, though.
old Japanese movie. It's actually pretty good.
I want to watch that.
Called Battle Royale.
Fortnite Battle Royale.
That's where the name comes from for, like, you know, modern Battle Royale video games.
You fed right into that.
Sorry, I
but-
just had Fortnite on my mind all day.
But they were gonna make an English adaptation of this movie, like remake it for like English audiences,
Like on Hunger
and then they
Games.
realized that they couldn't because people would think that they're ripping off the Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm.
But Hunger Games actually just ripped them off.
I think
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
actually go insane from that.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah. So last thing before we end, how far do you guys think you would make it in the Hunger Games if you were?
no, die
Final
immediately.
five.
Do you really think
I'm
that? Like
goated.
100%?
I'm doing the strategy where I hide in the woods. Like I'm doing like the
Oh.
PETA strategy where I just like blend in with the rocks.
And you don't think you'd make it at all?
I might make it like the first day or two, and then I'm gone.
Yeah, I feel like you would make it if you ran the other way.
Yeah, no,
instead
no,
of going
I
to the
could
cornucopia.
hide to it, but I like in a fight. No, I'm out.
I'd be the guy where
No, I think I'm-
I quote unquote make it far, but like I have no chance at winning because I can't fight a single person. I just have to hope that they like die from diseases
Yeah,
or
like,
something.
they
Yeah, I
don't
feel like I'm
find
kind of
me.
the same way. I like to think I'd make it far because I have an ego, but that would not actually happen. So being realistic
Ooh,
here,
how many people are in the actual Hunger Games?
24
Okay.
for each.
yeah,
So the top 5 is like top 20%. I can
that's
make
like
it.
really good.
I can make
too.
it top 20%.
I mean, it's not winning good, but it's
I'm not.
It's good.
it's not
I'm-
living good,
I'm
but it's
not-
there.
I'm not winning. I'm like dying from starvation or something like
Yeah.
halfway through.
No, if there was like good fruit trees or whatever around me, I could survive.
But you got to think like probably like 10 people, 7 to 10 people are dying in the first
Yeah.
like
yeah,
5 minutes.
I think in the 1st movie it was like 12.
Yeah.
yeah,
which is a
There's
lot. That's half your
immediately this
contestants.
fight to get the weapons and stuff from
yeah.
the cornucopia.
I'm not getting weapons. I'm hiding out in the rocks.
Yeah, I'm gone.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to use the weapons anyways.
Yeah.
I'd probably die from dehydration like day 3. So maybe
Yeah.
like top 7, depending on how much water I get.
If there is water, some arenas didn't have water.
yeah, like the cityscape one.
Yeah, that was insane.
I want to see that actual Hunger Games. Like we see a clip of it in one of the movies. Don't worry, we didn't really pick it up. That
Yeah,
much.
I hit my headset off the mic. My bad.
Like we didn't see
Sorry,
it a lot
Smelton, I really
in
struggled today.
at all, but like I kind of want to see that one. Also, Haymitch's Hunger Games.
Yes.
I'd love
Yeah.
to see more of that one.
I just want to see more of Haymitch with like interacting with the people because that was his relationships were so
The
I
drunken
take
man.
I take back my
drunken
statement
man. Yeah.
earlier. Haymitch is my favorite character. I think.
Mm. Well, I think we might have to do a part 2 about this soon because we are out of time.
Ooh.
So thank you all for listening to this week's HAWKS cast, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.